Good morning, team. This is a day two of Jenkins series, right? We will move forward from the day one and we will discuss about what is the difference between CI and CD, right? And we will see the official website of Jenkins, right? We will go through that and then we will create one EC2 instance or basically the virtual machine on which we are going to configure Jenkins, right? So let's go in this day two and we will configure everything, right? So let me go over here, right? I will show you the part is that if you check over here, you're going to find what is the difference between CI and CD, right? So let me take it over here. The part which you see above is CI, okay? And the down is CD, okay? The CI stand for continuous integration, okay? Continuous integration, right? Integration. What do you mean by continuous integration, right? So if you check over here, basically you will be having one dev team, which is a development team. They will be writing some different codes, right? So let's assume we have in our organization, we have two development teams which are located. One is in India and one is in US, right? So what will happen? This dev team will write for one feature, let's say login portal feature, okay? So he's writing the code, right? Development team is writing the code. Indian team is writing the code. And they have written, let's say, 1K lines of the code. And they have pushed the code to GitHub repository. Okay. GitHub repository. Then afterward, the next day, right? The dev team of US started working on different portal, right? So different portal, different team will be working on. So now let's say the India team has worked for 1K. Okay. Let's say for one day, they have pushed the code into the GitHub repository. The next day, the same team, they came and they joined the office. They have written more 100 lines. Okay. So now the lines has been pushed to the GitHub same branch. Okay, because these two teams will have different branch. So let's say this will have one branch known as feature login branch, as I mentioned, right? So it's working for login branch. Another team will have, let's say, for client portal, right? Branch. So two different branch. So this branch already pushed this 1K line and 100 line. So this 100 plus 1000 lines will be 1100 lines, right? So that code need to be merged into the same branch, right? Because this team is working separately only for the login portal. Okay, you got my point. So this code, whenever the code push, so that code will be reside in which branch? As I mentioned, it will be in feature login branch. Okay, so whenever code is pushed to your repository into the specific branch, that branch we are going to pull the code from Jenkins pipeline. Okay, from the Jenkins pipeline we are going to pull the code. Okay, so next time when the code is coming 100, that also will be pulled from the from GitHub repository. Okay? And the code will be integrated within this 100K. Okay, that means the 1K code has been already deployed like yesterday, right? Today they have added 100 line, so that means the deployment will be having of 1.1K, that is 1100 lines of the code, right? The code will be built. Let's say I'm using Node.js application. At the time I'll be using npm, right? Npm will be built. Then you have developer has written some test cases, right? The test cases that will be passed, then the code will be integrated within our application, right? As I mentioned, that will be compiled and it will be integrated. That's part. So the part which I say that integration, that means we are merging the code of the latest code which is pushed by the developer. Okay, so this can be achieved with webhook. This configuration can be achieved by webhook, that means auto webhook. Whenever the new code pushed by the developer team, the new code will be merged to your application code. Okay, that's got point. The second, we will keep it as manually. So the code resides in GitHub, but I don't want to trigger the Jenkins pipeline always. At that point, we are going for a manual step. That means if I'm going in the Jenkins portal, then I'm going to trigger this pipeline at that point. That will be having manual steps. Okay, this we will cover while creating CI/CD pipeline. Okay, you got my point. This point is clear up to now. This is known as CI, that is continuous integration. Okay, You got my point. So now let me say what is the pipeline. Okay, for example, what is pipeline? What is mean by Jenkins pipeline? Simply, Jenkins pipeline in the sense is that it's a sequence of steps and stages. Okay, so now let's say I have different stages in my pipeline. Okay, for example, let me give you one more simple example is that, okay, okay, let me give the pipeline example. Okay, let's say we will take the uh, as the example as cooking, right? So let me take the steps of cooking. Okay, so let's say I have decided to cook like one recipe. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do it before that, I will have to know the knowledge of this recipe. That means this recipe contains these things, right? I need spices, I need chicken, right? I need the water volume, what we need to be done, right? How much volume I need to add, and the spices, what time I need to cook in order to have my meals ready. Okay, the curry to be ready. Okay, for that, what before that I should have the knowledge that is known as requirement gathering. Okay, so after that, when I'm going to cook this meal, like in a stove or in the pan, right? So before that, what I'm going to do it to make sure the recipe is awesome. What I'm going to do it while cooking of the stages, I will I will have different stages of that. Okay, so what will be the different stages to make sure my recipe will be 100% tasty, right? So what I'm going to do it, I'm going to wash my chicken or the mutton what I have. Okay, so washing is one stage, right? Washing is one stage. I'm going to wash it, clean it. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some onion, some spices and different thing. Okay, so different thing I'm going to add in this. Then afterwards I'm going to cook for 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. Then I'm going to do it, I'm going to make sure that to check it is tender and it is soft now. Okay, after cooking, then afterwards, before I'm going to finish this meal cooking, I'm going to taste that, right? What I'm going to do it, I'm going to taste this recipe with the taste of salt, okay, and the spice and everything. Okay, so now everything is done. Then afterwards I'll make sure that recipe is completely what I've aimed, right? Decided to do that has been cooked. Then I will turn off my gas stove. You got my point. Gas stove, and I will serve to my guest. Okay. So now this step, what you have seeing that the cleaning of our recipes, that means our meat and the bowl and everything, that goes for what step? It's a cleaning stage, right? So it has a one cleaning stage. Okay, cleaning stage. Then as I mentioned that I'm going to add source code. Source code is my onion, mutton and everything inside the bowl. Okay, source code as I mentioned. Okay, the same goes this all step to make sure our recipe awesome. I have added different stages in order to have the quality check of our recipe, right? Whatever I have aimed to cook here, and I will cross check that did I cook the same way, I mean that what I've desired I have achieved, right? So in the software also we'll have same things. We will add different stage. So what our source code in the cooking, that was mutton, chicken, spices, okay, water volume and everything, right? Salt, it was my source code. Here in our application, that the code is our source code. Okay, source is our source code. In this case, the first code will come as a git clone of our source code from GitHub repository, right? The same way over here. Afterwards, I will say that let's go for build step. As I mentioned that build. So here what I'm going to do it, I'm going to cook it, right? So that means I'm building my recipe target. Okay. Then afterwards I'm going to deploy. That means I'm going to deploy, right? So after cooking, I'm after washing and everything, I'm going to keep in the bowl and I start the stove and everything. Periodically, I'm going to taste this everything. So here also, I'm going to deploy this application to different servers. Okay. Later on, I'm going to cross check the deployment verification, right? Deployment verification if my deployment of the application is successful or not. So this all step which I'm going to add it over here, that is known as pipeline. Okay, so if you check over here, there is a one pipe. For example, pipe is consisted of different stages. Here in between, I have added one cleaning stage. Right here also, we will add one stage that is known as before build. right? We will add a scan. Okay, here I'm going to scan to check out is any vulnerabilities and everything, right, in our code that need to be fixed. So scanning we are maintaining to make sure our code is clean, like we are make sure our recipe to be authenticated, that means the meat and the water spices should be clean, right? So here also the will go with the clean. Then we will have automatic testing. Then afterwards we'll have unit testing, as I mentioned, right? Unit testing over here also we are doing manual testing, right? I'm testing the recipe, is any spices high or salt is high, everything. So this is known as pipeline, where you have sequence of stages in your Jenkins pipeline. Okay, you got my point. Hope this is clear. So in this part, without deployment, this is known as CI part, that is continuous integration. Now the point is coming up, what do you mean by CD? Okay, so Jenkins is CI/CD server. CI we already discussed now. So now let us discuss about CD. CD stands for continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay, so what do you mean by that? So let me explain you the difference between delivery and the deployment. Okay, let me say I'm the Asim. I have a Asim company where I receive one project from one client. Okay, the client is sitting in USA, right? I am in India, right? So I'm working for this client, okay? So in order to complete this application and hand over to US, okay? So the US team said that US IT team, which they gave me the task, right? They told me that please build this application. So what I'm going to do it, I have built this application with whatever the requirement. Then I deliver this application to team of US, okay? So what they will do it, they will take this code and they will deploy in this in their environment. I mean on their services. Okay, whichever they have, let's say physical servers or Kubernetes cluster, any account depend on them. So they are responsible to deploy into their environment. Okay, this US team will have their own IT team, which they will maintain in order to deploy this application. Whichever I have built, they will deploy into their environments. Okay, this is known as delivery. Okay, so one more example I will tell you. This will give you more insights to you. Let's say I have built one application. Okay, let's say I have built one gaming application. Then I have created that application and I have deployed into Play Store, right? Play Store or iOS, Apple Store, right? iStore. So what happened? I have created one a gaming application and I have delivered that application into Play Store and iStore, right? So what will happen? Did I deploy this on your mobile, right? I'll say you that okay, please install this application, this gaming application, which I have built it. Okay. So at the time, what you will do going to do it, then let's say Raj, I have given the task to the Raj, right? So Raj, what will go? He'll go into the Play Store. I'm going to give it the name, let's say Asim game, right? So he will be searching this Asim game in the Play Store. Then he will click on this to install. Okay, install. So at that point what will happen, this Raj will install manually this gaming in his mobile or on his laptop, right, on his laptop, anything. So at the point what I'm going to do it, I'm going to be delivering my application to Play Store and Store, so iStore or remaining platform, so that the users who are the user are interested to download this game, they will download and they will install and they will start playing on. Okay, so this point is known as delivery, continuous delivery. Okay, you got my point. So now the point is coming of, what do you mean by deployment? Okay, deployment in the sense we will deploy the application into Kubernetes, into their in the environments. Okay, let's say the same case, they say that Asim, you build the application, right, for me, the user client, and he says I don't have the uh, I don't have any IT team within our organization. So what you do it, this is our servers, right? Within the servers you install this application. So what we will do it, we are going to take this application, right, and going to deploy direct into their into their environment, right, into their servers. Okay, so this is known as continuous deployment. Within this we will be having Jenkins part. So Jenkins will do automated deployments. Okay, so now in this part, let's say what is the second step. Okay, so let's say for example how we are going to handle in IS2 for second example of continuous deployment. So sometime you may assume that you have uh, let's say you have Instagram, right? You have Instagram application on your mobile. Okay, so today what happened, I have used Instagram, then I have rested and I gone for sleep. In the morning when I come, I see the Instagram UI has changed, right? You will see new UI. You may have experienced this, right? So in the morning you will see that the new features has added, the UI of this application changed, new feature added. So at that time what will happen, this is auto pushed, the new code has been auto delivered, right? Auto pushed and delivered to the customer and deployed as well. Okay, so in the morning if you check over here, you will be finding that this is auto deployed. Okay, so behind this will be a configuration management system that works. Okay, configuration management system. Okay, so it can be Ansible, any kind of application that usually works on push and pull mechanisms. Okay, so you got my point. So when we are only delivering and saying the client to deploy by the system, that is known as continuous delivery. When we are going to deploy this to the clients or directly by us, complete step, that is known as continuous deployment. Okay, you got my point. So this everything we have described. Now what we will do it, we will go to browser and we will search Jenkins.io website, which is official website, right? Official website of Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins.io. Okay, if you check over, this is the official website. If you check over here, you're going to find this is a leading open source automation server. So by self it's saying that this is open source. Okay, so that means it's free, you can download, you can follow the documentation. It is support hundreds of plugin to support building, deployment and automating any project. Okay, so whatever we have discussed up to now, that everything this Jenkins is validating us. Okay, so now the step, if you go for over here, documentation, it's giving you the user guide, how you can install Jenkins, how you can write pipeline, manage Jenkins, secure in Jenkins, system administration, troubleshoot, every steps, right? So let's go for installation of Jenkins. So now if you go for installation of Jenkins, then it in the left side you're going to find that where you want to install your Jenkins. Okay, so it's giving the environment, you can install as a Docker container. Okay, if I open over here, then I can install in the Kubernetes cluster. I can install on the Linux operating system. I can install on Mac OS, Windows, and any another uh, file other systems as well. Okay, it supports all the operating systems and the environments available. Okay, so if I'm going for the Docker, you will be finding that Docker prerequisite is given, so that you should have your virtual machine of this GB of drive is required to installation of Jenkins, Jenkins Docker image and Docker container, everything. Okay, so in our use case, we will try everything to create on Linux operating system. If you have Linux and so on, then you can work on any environment, right? So if I'm going to click on this Linux, so you're going to find that what kind of Linux flavor you are having, so that this guide will help you. So in our case, we are going with the Debian family, that will be Ubuntu, right? But in some organization, they go with the Fedora or Red Hat enterprises always. Okay, so there are not major, there is only package difference of apt and yum. Okay, so if I'm going to click on this Ubuntu, then I'll be redirected. So minimum requirement over here, right? It's given as pre-request to have 256 MB of RAM and 1 GB of hard drive, right? Hard drive space requires. Okay, recommendation if you're going for the small team, in order to access your Jenkins with the user management, then is recommended to have 4 GB of RAM, right? 50 GB of hard space. Okay, in our case, we can go with T2 medium. Okay, that will be more than enough. So if you check over here down, it is stating that this is LTS version. That means this the Jenkins version is of long-term support. Okay. So what I have cross-checked up to now, I have checked for Linux Ubuntu. Okay. Let me click Ubuntu. It's stating that this is a Ubuntu version, right? On Debian and Debian based distribution like Ubuntu, you can install through apt. Okay. Package for Ubuntu is being used apt. Okay. So if you check down over here, it's stating LTS version is chosen every 12 weeks. That means it will have stable of 3 months per week. Okay. So it's recommended in organization and in the practice as well to go with LTS version of any application. It may be Ansible, Jenkins, Kubernetes and everything. Okay. Then two type of versions is available for every application, that is beta version and LTS version, that is stable version. Okay. So you have to go with stable version. Okay. Remember this point. So in this case, we need to copy this and execute. So here you're going to find there is a weekly release, that is beta version. Okay. So this release, the new release is progressively weekly to deliver big box fixes feature to use plugin deliver. You can install with this version. Okay. But for the use case, we're going to go with LTS. Okay. Then later on, there are the steps required. Okay. So now the one more point is that if you go over here, let me show you. See, what are the software requirement of Jenkins? So it's stating that in order to install your Jenkins, your virtual machine should have prerequisite as Java installation. Okay. So it should be having Java installation, then it should have web browser compatibility. Okay. You got my point. So in this case, what we need to do, we need to install Java. So here also, if you check over here, it's stating that we need to install Java. Okay. So in this case, Java version is OpenJDK 21. Currently, it's supported for 21. Before it was supporting OpenJDK 17 as well. Okay. That means Java 17. Now it's stating that the latest support is for JDK 21. Okay. So we will install Java, then we will install the next step was our Jenkins version, right? Later on, you'll be finding the commands in order to access your application, to enable your application, to start your Jenkins. Enable in the sense whenever your virtual machine will be rebooted or you have stopped your instance, right? EC2 instance, and restart your EC2 instance, right? After stopping, you are restarting your EC2 instance. At the time when you restart it, automatically Jenkins has to be with the reboot. It has to be enabled up and running. Okay. Further, this is a command. Then we will start and we will be using status. For here, we are going to go with system control. That means system CTL. Okay. System control. From this, we can make it up and running. So now the point is that we have gone through our what is the, like as mentioned, that official website of Jenkins, and I've given the default prerequisite as well. So that's fine for the today. Well, let's don't forget to share, subscribe, and be active in the series. We will cover all the points related to remaster of Jenkins. Okay. See you guys for the next day.